When you're up against a trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Lift your chin and set your shoulders, plant your feet and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fail, but you may conquer. See it through. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim. But never let your nerves desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. When the worst is bound to happen, in spite of all that you can do, running from it will not save you. See it through. Even hope may seem but futile when with troubles you're beset. But remember, you are facing just what other men have met. You may fall, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish. See it through. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I would just like to start off by saying and thanking Mr. Kevin Bracey. Kevin Bracey, I met Kevin Bracey January 9th, 2006 at the Greater St. John Bible Church on the west side of Chicago. I was after something. I was going on Les Brown's website. I was emailing Les Brown's website, and an individual named Irv Jallo said, Mack, you want to see Les Brown? Go to Greater St. John Bible Church on 1436 North Waller. That was a block from my office. Fate. I walked in, I had on the same suit, I only got a couple. I walked into the church that night with a coworker, and we found a seat, and Kevin Bracey came out. And I had just written Les Brown a long letter about Les, and when you said this, and when you said that, and when you said, and Kevin Bracey gets up on the stage and says, I wrote this letter to Les Brown. And I'm just looking at this brother like, this is unbelievable. And he was the MC, and after he introduced everybody else, he came up afterwards and he did it. He did the 7-day mental cleanse, he did it all. And I got the opportunity to go to him at the back of the room and talk to him and purchase some products. And he said, join Toastmasters, and I did that. And he said, here, Mack, here's my number, call me. And I've called Kevin Bracey every day since January 9th, 2006. I don't talk to him. But I call him every day on my way to work. And he has called me back a couple of times. But, you know, I mean, the man is busy, and I respect that. Because when he calls back, he said, hey, Mack, I get your message. I said, I understand. But I understand persistence, and they say success leaves clues, and his mentor had a story that moved all of us about how he kept going back to that radio station. And so I said, I'm just going to keep calling Kevin Bracey. And so that's what I did. And so I'm just so glad to be here today. And this is all about faith for me, that the fact I'm even in Sacramento all the way here from Chicago. Carlton, I just want to say to you, brother, I worked in youth services for a number of years. About a year and a half ago, after working with youth, because we think it's all about youth, that if you just empower youth and you work with youth and you inspire youth, then that's it. And I made the jump from working in youth, and I ran a homeless veteran shelter for a year. And it was a stretch for me because I went from working youth where I just figured if I can get them off to college, they would be fine. But then I got over here, and I met men who had went to the service, served our country, went to college, had PhDs, master's degrees, every type of certification, had owned homes, had been married, had raised their kids, and found themselves homeless. I think it's a shame in America where we would ever allow a veteran to be homeless. And your story of your perseverance can save many lives, can encourage and inspire veterans and homeless people throughout the world. And I'm just glad to be here with the rest of you guys. This is rich. This is rich. I learned from Kevin and those guys, your network will determine your net worth. And so I'm gonna be calling y'all like I call Kevin. But the title of what I want to talk about today is called the Motivational Mack Pack for how to win big in life. The Motivational Mack Pack for how to win big in life. See, when you go on a camping trip, you take a backpack, and you need certain things in that backpack so that you can have a good time or a comfortable time while you're on your trip. But before I get into that, because who am I to tell you how to win big in life and you don't even know who I am? I want to start there. My name is Mack Dion McGee. I was born May 10th, 1971, to the union of Mack and Lorraine McGee in Chicago Heights, Illinois. I'm the youngest and the only boy. I got 3 sisters. Carol and Pam and Tina. Imagine this, growing up in a house with 3 older sisters. I mean, they were plotting on me every day. I mean, my maniacal plots. I never got the last of the dessert or anything. It was a very interesting challenge growing up in a house with 3 older sisters. I mean, I was unique in the sense that out of all my male friends, I always knew what was going on all my children, General Hospital, and One Life to Live. Because my sisters made it clear that you only gonna have one life to live if you don't sit down and shut up. So I knew about Greg and Jenny, I knew about Luke and Laura, I knew about Asa Hilliard, I knew about Erica Kane. You know, and sometimes the girls in class would start talking about that. I'd be like, did Luke and Laura get back to... And I had to catch myself. So, my childhood was pretty happy. My early childhood, I had pretty good memories. You know, my father, he came here from Mississippi, from Renova, Mississippi. He picked cotton down there. And he was working for a gentleman who was making a trip to Chicago back in 1956, and he said, Mack, I need you to help me drive up to Chicago. And my father got up here, and he never left. My father doesn't have a high school diploma nor a GED to speak of, but he had that entrepreneurial spirit. And he went from, at that time, it was you could be a self-made man. You could hang your shingle up and just be whatever it was that you wanted to be. Nowadays, they want you to have this degree, and they want you to have that degree, and they keep raising the bar each and every year. So my father he started his own janitorial service. And one of the accounts that he had was a bank. And during that time, when banks were foreclosing, they knew that my father was interested in some property, and they would just come to him. Hey, Mack, you want to just assume this mortgage? And so my father, not having any education, not having any training, but having desire, just started getting property. And my mother was like, well, you know what, Mack, now, you know, you're getting the property, maybe you should go to school to try to keep it. So that's not how the story ends, you know, I'm gonna keep going. But the thing was this, we had a pretty decent childhood, but at the age of 11, the childhood that I knew changed forever. My life changed. That was a life-defining moment, as Oprah and Dr. Phil talk about it. At the age of 11, everything changed. My parents split up, and my mother became a single parent with the sole support of 4 children. And so imagine being the only boy, watching your mother have to work 2 and 3 jobs, not asking anything of my father, working 2 and 3 jobs, but still speaking life into each and every one of us, saying, you can be more, you can have more, and you can do more than I have, and that your father had. I want each and every one of you to go to college. And she said that every day. It was hard, though. It was painful for me to watch that. It was painful for me to watch my mother sit at the edge of her bed and scrimp and scrape from the bottom of her purse to give us lunch money because we were too embarrassed and humiliated to receive the free lunch at school because we didn't want, you know, our friends to talk about us, you know, because they had these little, like, stupid green tokens. You walking around out there with a green token, everybody knew you was on the free lunch program. And so she didn't put us through it. She scraped the bottom of her purse each and every day. And so I didn't know it at the time, but that was when I became a man. At the age of 12, I became a man. And my mother drove me one day. She said, just get in the car. I said, well, where are we going? She said, just get in the car. And she drove me to this affluent community called Flossmoor, Illinois, to a country club where people pay, probably at that time, it was probably like $30,000, $40,000 a year, more than what some people made on a yearly basis. And she said, you're going to be a caddy. I didn't even know